This is the BAM School Podcast, where we talk about business, adventure, and mission with your host, Buddy Rathmel.
Hi there. I just wanted to let you know before you jump into the podcast, you're going to hear me say a couple times Life Story Party, a Life Story Podcast. I was hoping to start a separate podcast where we would hear people's life stories, particularly entrepreneurs, but that didn't go as well as I wanted, but this was one of the episodes that I liked, so I wanted to upload it here to the BAM School Podcast. So disregard, I have not launched a separate podcast, recorded 4 of those, but we're going to table that for now. But maybe come back in a different format at some point in the future. But for now, enjoy another episode of the BAM School Podcast. Welcome. I'm Buddy Rathmel, host of the Life Story Podcast. This is our inaugural podcast. I'm super excited to have Makenna Romero on with us today. She has a great story. She was a hardworking young kid, which I think always is a good foundation if you want to have a business, to not be afraid of hard work. And has a really cool story of going from working for others and then jumping out into her own business. And one of the cool things about the Life Story Podcast is that we just want to get a picture and view of the person's life. So, Makenna, welcome to the Life Story Party.
Thank you for having me, Buddy. These are just some photos of my early adult years. As you can see, I had a beautiful daughter at 19 years old. It came as a real surprise to everyone, I guess you can say. I come from a very amazing, supportive family. I was voted best to bring home to parents in high school my senior year, and 2 months later, I was going to have a baby. So it was a big shock. I had a lot of growing up to do, and just looking back at all of these pictures that I found over the weekend, when I think about, the person that I am today, it all started with obviously my parents, and then my little girl who's almost 13 years old. I always tell her that she made me. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So what's your daughter's name?
Her name is Esri.
Esri. And I
Yeah.
take it your parents were there with you alongside in that whole
They
process.
were.
Yeah.
There were some tough times, but they always said they would never turn their back on me. We lived with them for the first 2 years of Esri's life, and after she was 2, we got our own little apartment of our own, and we still reminisce about our little house on 19th Street, and just amazing memories. A lot of growth happened, a lot of hard times happened. My parents were never the type to just give me anything that I wanted. They obviously instilled an amazing work ethic in me. So I can remember, sometimes having graham crackers for dinner, and they'd surprise me with groceries here and there, in my fridge after work. And but going through all those tough times just really makes me appreciate what I have now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I broke my jaw in college, and I wasn't responsible for anyone else, but I had no money and I wasn't working. And I remember just being super kind of hungry, and even going to the grocery store and being like, I'm going to splurge and get the spaghetti sauce with meat in it.
Yeah.
And I knew, if I told my parents or my grandparents or 100 other people would have helped me. There's no one in my life that would have said, we want you to be hungry, but I don't know.
Oh, I
Pride
know.
Or who knows what.
Nowadays, even, getting a block of cheese is just, I feel grateful for it. And it's, it might've been a prideful thing, back then, but, I definitely wanted to make sure that I was the one that could make it. And we did. So,
yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit, you said your parents instilled in you a great work ethic. You worked hard. How did you get from, there to now having your own business? What was that kind of journey? Or do you want to share more in the next slide first before we jump into that?
Well, we can kind of start here if you'd like.
Okay.
You know, my mom was and still is actually a hairstylist. So it was very natural to me to just be in the shop environment, a creative environment. I followed in her footsteps and became a cosmetologist myself in my, early 20s. My dad has always been an educator. He's a school teacher for the high school district and has always been involved in coaching. So he's always been, a coach of mine or a coach of one of my friends. And he's always been very active in, our lives growing up. And, going back to the work ethic part, we did live out in the country growing up. We showed livestock and raised livestock. And we laugh about it now, but I can remember, my dad in the summer times I have a twin brother down at the bottom here. His name is Alex. He's about 6'3", 250 pounds, and I'm much smaller than that, but we're twins. I remember him giving us a list, a mile long of things to do in the hot summers in Bakersfield. I don't know if you're familiar with that kind of heat, but I used to think couldn't he get in trouble for this? Like, can he do this to his children? But, growing up, I'm not afraid to work hard. And I love to work hard. I think it's super rewarding. But over the years, I've definitely learned a work-life balance, I guess you can say. So I do definitely have my parents to thank for showing me what hard work is. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about you. You had said that, did you want to jump to the next slide?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about that bit of your journey.
Yeah. Oh, do I need to move to the next slide?
Yeah.
Let me see.
I think if you just hit.
Oh, there we go.
Advance. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not something I tend to talk about a whole lot. It's just, moving out on my own, it just became, I've always been very spacey, very unorganized. I had friends following me around in high school, literally taking my backpack and trying to make sense of everything in there. I've always doodled on all my papers. I've always been like a little Tasmanian devil everywhere. And, growing up, I think there was a lot of, I had a low self-esteem because of it, I think. I knew I was different. I knew my brain didn't operate the same as everybody else's. And things that seemed so easy to everyone, like keeping a clean backpack or a clean room or being able to organize their day, it just never, time management was just always such a hard thing for me to get a hold of. And obviously living with my parents, it made it a little easier. My mom is just very organized and has it all together. And my dad does not. He is me. But she has been a big support to him over these years and kind of keeps it all together. And so moving out on my own, especially having to take care of myself and another human being, making sure that we ate and we drank and we got our bills paid, and just adulting in general was just a very hard thing. And it wasn't until I saw someone and, got an official diagnosis. It wasn't, I don't use it as an excuse for anything, but it definitely was almost a relief or a comfort. I could begin to read about it. I could begin to understand the way that my brain operates. And I also stopped beating myself up over, a lot of my weaknesses and kind of tried to lean into more of my strengths. So,
cool.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And is that when, like, under there where it says also ADHD, like, are those a lot of the characteristics that you feel like are your strengths?
I can seriously go down every single one of those, and I That's me. It's me to a T. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, the more I'm interrupting. You see that?
No, go ahead.
The more entrepreneurs I talk with and the more like creatives and people like me, we're all a little bit alike. And it's kind of cool to be able to surround yourself with like-minded people. So I enjoy it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, is a lot of people that do well in the business world, they're able to make, connections from different things and bring things together. And
yes.
I think that same personality type lends to that for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
So, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's the next stage in Makenna's journey?
What is the next stage in Makenna's life? Well, I mean, before I go into the next slide, I was in my early 20s. Obviously trying to build up my clientele doing hair in the salon. So I had to kind of supplement my income with selling cars. So I sold cars for a little bit. BS my way all through it, all 10 months of that. I hated it.
Yeah.
But it taught me a lot. And I was in the dealership one evening, just kind of miserable with what I was doing. And I this is when you could still, find jobs in the paper. And I was like going through and I saw a job title for a funeral assistant. And that is not all what I do right now, but just the name funeral just really lit a fire under me. And I knew that it was something I wanted to try to pursue. So I called and I got called in for an interview, and then I got into doing what I do now. I got a job as a funeral assistant, which really just means, assisting on funerals, greeting families, working visitations in the evenings, going out on graveside services, just kind of helping around the funeral home. But with my background in hair and makeup, I very quickly got my way into the prep room, and I've been a prep room brat ever since. And I knew from day one, being down there, that, everything just came together. I was getting to do my art. I was getting to do hair. I knew I had finally figured out what it was that I wanted to do. So that was about 10 years ago now. A little bit into getting into the funeral service, I met David, and David also works in the industry. He works with the families. So two very different jobs, but I knew after meeting him that he was someone pretty special. We hit it off. He was mature and smart and caring, and actually was very close to going through the fostering program. He has always wanted so desperately to be a dad, and he was going through all of the paperwork and house checks in order to become a foster parent, and he met us. And these are just some early pictures, in our relationship. And my daughter Esri it just clicked for us. And so this is David.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun that not only do you guys connect well and click well, but also that you're able to work together. That's super fun.
Yes, absolutely. And this is when things start getting really real. I was still, school with working full time. I was an apprentice embalmer at the time. We were married. It's a 2-year-long apprenticeship, but there's also schooling that's involved as well. And obviously full-time work, family life, school. I kind of took school piece by piece. So all in all, I think it was maybe a 5-year process. So in the early parts of our marriage, I was still on the tail end of trying to get school done. And with babies. I have, looking through my camera roll, it's so funny how many pictures I have of my study notes and then just like chubby baby hands and feet and coffee, always coffee around.
Yeah.
It was just a really hard time, but it's so funny when you want something bad enough, you just push through. And I can just, still, I just tell myself like, oh, I'm so glad I don't have to ever do that again. Cause man, it was hard work, but yeah, we got through it. And school and babies and a cancer diagnosis. Towards the end of my schooling, David was diagnosed with kidney cancer. One of his kidneys was the size of a softball, and it was just something that over time, the doctor said it had probably grown over the last 10 years.
Wow.
And it was just kind of just a weird thing that happened. But, you have two kidneys, so that's good. He felt very fatigued for a really long time, and we kind of narrowed it down to it probably being this. And the kidney was removed. He goes back for checkups every year now and has been cancer free ever since. So that was just a very rough time there, but going through all these rough times just makes, now so much more sweeter. And yeah.
Yeah. That's for sure. I think it gives us, it gives us a little bit of perspective, and I think we always do great to practice gratitude, but when I live now in America, but I lived in Asia for years, and I'm always like, I'm never going to forget how awesome the air is in Virginia, and it's like.
So this slide just kind of explains, I became licensed. I worked as a licensed embalmer at a very big successful funeral home in cemetery in the area in town. And I took a management position overseeing all of the care center operations. And I think something that makes me a little different than a lot of leaders, and everyone has their own style, but I think what made me a successful leader and a person that my team just loved and I loved them back was because I was down there in the trenches with them.
For sure.
That's just kind of how I roll. I was there, I've always kind of been a maternal creature, wanting to kind of like take care of everyone around me. And that goes for, my kids at home, but also kind of my staff. And, when the pandemic hit, it was, you saw a lot of news coverage on, first responders, nurses, doctors. Not a whole lot of coverage was given to the last responders, the funeral professionals that were having to deal with this volume. So this is just us beefing up all these pictures, beefing up our equipment here. We were having to stick gurneys into like visitation rooms. We're having to get new coolers in order to accommodate just the amount of cases we were seeing on a daily basis. Lots of tears. I had a newborn at home that, at that time also with school being out, it was, do we have a babysitter over here and just have one of us go to work just to pay the sitter, or does one of us stay home? And that is when the decision was made that my amazing saint of a husband was going to stay home with these kids. And he stayed home with them throughout the pandemic while I went off to work. We had, an infant at home that I was trying to nurse. And this picture over here at the bottom, that is just a picture of a day that I got to pump and I got to eat, because during those days they were, 12-hour days, 15-hour days, 16-hour days, to where, and I know I probably could have gone pee if I needed to, or I could have gotten a drink of water, but it was just, we were drowning in the work. It was just something that I never, ever want to experience again in my life. Yeah. But yeah, it was just really, really hard times.
Yeah.
And, my kids, man, this is my middle, his name is Lincoln. And, boy, they just missed me so much. And I, again, have so many pictures that I just snap of them saying goodbye every morning. Cause and it was always, Mom, when are you going to be home? And I could never really tell them. I just felt there was just so much work to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is, hard times for sure. And
Yes.
I think that it does build, like, even just you talked about hard times earlier, like
Yeah.
those things definitely do build character. And yeah, and then also go, okay, how do I want to structure my life so it's different next time around,
Yeah. And everything everything happens for a reason. Growing up, my parents taught me how to work hard. This is honestly what got me through it all. And now nothing even phases me anymore. I go into we'll get into what I'm doing now, but I get a job or 2 or 10, and it's just like, I can take on the world right now, doing what I had to deal with the last, 2 years. So
yeah,
it definitely prepared me to, take on anything. And, but yes, it definitely makes you think about, obviously I had no work-life balance at this point. And that's another sad thing that, I look back at is, I think so many people find their value in their job. And it was very common for me in this, and not even just this time, but just at such a high volume facility, let's take away the COVID, sending emails at 1:30 in the morning, checking your email at 2 a.m. It was just nonstop. It was consuming me. And I was really missing out on those 3 right there. And boy, did I missed out on a lot. And I'm glad that all of this did happen, though, because it really made the wheels start turning and me thinking about how I did want to restructure what it was that I was doing. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about that journey of jumping into your own thing.
Yeah. Well, I think throughout this time, I've always been a real big into like personal development and podcasts and leadership and trying just to be the very best person that I can be. And I think with that, and then taking on such a heavy workload, it just made me feel really strong. And it gave me so much confidence that, I knew I was confident in my talents. I knew that people liked me. I knew that, I have team members, still former team members that I talk to on a daily basis. And I know in my heart that we're all going to work together again someday, So in September of this last year, it was something I thought about for a while. I knew that I could get out and do this on my own. It's just, taking that leap. And working in the death care industry, there's a need, and there always will be a need. And, where I was at before, everything was so rushed. There was just so much I wanted to do differently. And, in the position that I was in, I was limited. And, so being able to start, my own company and do things the way I wanted to do them and take the time that I wanted to take and, do things my way. That's just what I wanted to do. So, yeah, I am currently I'm a private contractor. I'm a licensed embalmer. I have, and, also building all these relationships in the previous position that I was with other funeral homes. Really, it's all about relationships, really. You get to know people. all the other, funeral homes in town know what a big operation I was trying to control, so they know that they know that I can handle, just about anything. So I guess just my reputation within the industry here in my town has been a big help to me, but it's just been super rewarding to go in and help out, these other facilities, do what I love to do. These are just little thank yous from family members on, how I made their loved one look. And, everyone deserves that, every person that passes deserves to be cared for. And it's such a calling to me to be able to, see them through and take care of them after they pass.
Yeah. It's cool to think about, just your people skills from high school and after, and how now they're really being used, in an even greater way, to be a blessing to others, to help them in really difficult times. And that's cool how, your hard work and your dreams have kind of come together in this for you.
Yeah, it is something. I see a lot of sad things, but I also, take care of loved ones who have lived to be 105. So it just definitely, I I see firsthand how precious this life is, and how quickly it can just be gone. So totally. I'm grateful for what I do every day.
Yeah. Do you want to share with us a little bit of some of your dreams for the next 2 to 3 years?
Yeah, well, I have a lot of dreams. I have just notebooks and notebooks all over my house of, things that I want to do and goals that I have. But, I love doing what I do now. And I always think I'm going to have, I'm always going to be a prep room princess. I'm always going to be doing what I do. I think about a lot of people don't think about this, but, embalming is a very physical job. There's lots of lifting. There's lots of standing. It's a workout. I mean, it's no joke. And I love that aspect of it, but I think about the longevity of my career and, am I going to want to do this when I'm 50 or 60 years old? Am I going to be able to? I hope so. But I have dreams of, I have a couple things I'm playing around with. I would love to be able to, teach others my trade, teach others, be an example to, young people who are interested in doing what I do now. I love being in that leadership role and being able to take care of my team and to treat them well. So I definitely see some sort of, maybe a potential facility in the future to where I can, offer my services for other funeral homes that, might need a little more storage or, might need an extra hand. And then, there's just some things brewing. So I know that I'm not just going to stop here. But yeah, I'm excited, definitely excited for what the future has in store for us, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
And what are some of your, you talked about being gone, from the kids a lot during COVID and all the heavy workload. What are some of your dreams around your life, not just your business?
What's really cool now is, and again, this goes back to the gratitude thing, is my husband and I both, we get to, if I wanted to, I took on a very heavy load last Thursday and Friday just so I can just be off today and, drink
Yeah.
my coffee and chat with you. And
Yeah.
that's so cool that I can do that. And
Yeah.
my husband and I talk about how cool is it that we can, if we want to, go and take our kids to school together and pick them up
Yeah.
together. And
That's great.
how cool, and I just think about how blessed my kids are to just have us around all, a lot more
Yeah.
than most. But we definitely, my husband has seen a lot of the world. I have not. So we love New York. So we've taken our kids a couple times to see the East Coast. We're going to go to Hawaii, again this summer. So just, they aren't, huge things, but there are things that I never got to do as a kid. So I'm really excited to be able to have the freedom, have the finances to be able to give my kids those experiences, and also just not my kids. I think about, I was telling David the other night as well, after we get all the kids to bed, it's, if I ever met someone that was half as passionate about their dream as I am of what I'm doing right now, if I was ever in a position to, help them out, whether that be financially or just with my time, would be so rewarding to me, over the course of the last 6 months. I've just gotten out of my head. A lot of times you have a lot of self-doubt and you're afraid to ask stupid questions and you're afraid to put yourself out there. But over the past, 6 months, I have become great friends with, small business consultants and other entrepreneurs and people that are way more successful in this, business than I am. And, I would love to be able to be that person for someone someday. Because it's just a beautiful thing when people are able to just give a little bit of their time and knowledge to someone that just so desperately just wants to learn,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've that's been one of the cool parts of my life, is looking back and seeing people that I've helped to get into business, sometimes financially, sometimes just with expertise and experience, encouragement,
Yes.
helping. I feel like a lot of times, like, I can look at someone and go, you can do this. Like,
Yeah.
I know you're not sure right now if you can, but
Yeah.
take 2 more steps in that direction and you'll be able to see through the fog. And to be able to pull others along is super rewarding. And I know
I'm interrupting you again. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
You even spent a good 30 minutes with me last week when we were initially talking about this podcast, and I tossed around some of my ideas with you, and it still blows me away that, you would think that other people wouldn't be interested in like helping you out or, popping around ideas, but everyone I've come across is just so willing to just share their knowledge with you. And that's just something that I never, ever expected. So that's super, super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know just from our little bit of time together that, you'll be doing that for others, whether it's your staff or employees in the future, or if you get into some kind of, teaching engagement where you're doing this or whatever. Like, I think, that's definitely something that you'll be doing. Yeah. Are there principles that kind of guide you as you work? Have you qualified any of your, principles or values that kind of push you along?
You just have to be, you. And I noticed that just with, the people I surround myself with now and, my customers, which are other funeral home owners, they love me and they accept me and they know I'm crazy and they know I'm messy and they know that I'm all over the place, but they know what kind of work I do. They know that I'm there for them and I care about them and I care about the loved ones in their care. And I just think, honestly, being 100% you, speaking up for what you believe in, standing up for others when they need to be stood up for, maybe being a little outspoken at times. It's gotten me really far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, a year ago, I just had a whole bunch of work pictures. It was all paperwork, and it was all whiteboards, and it was all emails, and, it was just work. And I loved what I did. I still love what I do now, but, gosh, I mean, the middle is Easter Sunday, a few weeks back. Our baby will be 2 in June. Our middle is 6, and oldest will be 13. And I mean, I couldn't tell you how many Easter Sundays I've had to work. I mean, I've had to work Christmases and Christmas Eves and, birthdays. And, I get time now to enjoy the holidays. One of my best friends just had a baby. We had a baby shower for her a month or 2 back. And I can't tell you how many weddings and baby showers and bridal showers and bachelorette weekends I've had to miss because of work, because I put work before, the people that are close to me. So, just the freedom that I get now, to be around the people that I love and, do the things that I want to do. It's awesome. It's super cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, having that freedom is a huge, it's just a huge thing. A few weeks ago, was the March Madness, and I woke up on Sunday morning and I saw that my son-in-law's favorite team was going to be in the championship. And I was just like, hey, I wonder what tickets cost for that. And they were so cheap. I can't remember, it was 65 or 75 each.
Yeah.
Flights to New Orleans were outrageous, but I rented a car, picked them up. We had a great time. And I just love the freedom of being able to go, you know what? I'm going to spend the next 3 days making a memory, dropping whatever, and being with family. And, just I can't, in my mind, I'm like, why doesn't everyone want to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I know. I think that too. But then, I know.
And there's a ton of, there's other sides to that. The responsibility, the stress of making payroll, and, caring for people and all those kind of things. But when you do those things well, the upside is just off the chart, and so super cool to hear about, your own journey in that, and how, hard work has gotten you a long way. And, now you're combining hard work and smart work, and how that is transforming your life. So any last words you'd like to share, something I didn't ask you, or just something you'd like to share to encourage our listeners?
Just to, not be afraid to go after it. Not everyone needs or wants to be an entrepreneur. I understand that completely, but, just getting rid of the self-doubt, getting out of your head and just going after it, because I would have never in a million years known that, I mean, I still just like cry in the car on the way to a job thinking about, gosh, this is what, and it's just a simple thing about, choosing when I go to work,
Yeah.
It's just, the freedom is just amazing.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest, Makenna. It was a delight to hear your story. And listeners, if any of you resonate with some of Makenna's heart, I know she has big dreams for the near future and the far future. And if you'd like to partner with her as an investor or just give her a shout out, please do that. And maybe we'll have you back on in a year or two and get an update on your journey from here.
That'd be cool. Thank you, buddy.
BAM School, facilitating a global, self-funding, disciple-making movement through business. Thanks for tuning in to the BAM School podcast. Find show notes, free courses, resources, and more at forbam.com.